Hi everyone, my name is Ryutaro Imoto from SWY28. I'm gonna talk about three most important things in life I've learned from my experience near death by my disease. Generally speaking, the disease is bad, but I'm glad if my topic change your lifestyle or your way of living. I will introduce myself before the main topic. One moment, let me smaller. Okay, I joined SWY28 in 2016. One of the biggest reasons to move to UK is because of SWY, so I appreciate SWY experience. I've been living in Leicester in UK for almost 3 years since 2017. Leicester has diversity like SWY. Leicester is a local town taking 1.5 hours from London by train. I'm a freelancer and manage online school how to be freelance. To be freelance is a good choice for people who have disability. I developed a new lifestyle because of my disease. I will explain my disease later. What is a new lifestyle? My lifestyle is I can work anywhere, anytime, with anyone, anything that I'd like to. So I have enough time except working. If you like your job, you will not retire forever. I can work only for 4 hours per day. I also like a trip. I try to go to a trip once a month before, but it's too busy for me. That's why I go to a trip every 2 months. Of course, it's before COVID-19. This is my lifestyle. I also recommend this lifestyle for anyone. You can understand what I mean later. Okay, let's move to main topic. Three most important things in life I've learned from my experience near death by my disease. The first is to use your talent to live your life. In February of 2020, I lost my eyesight in both eyes in less than a week. Originally, I have had autoimmune disease called Behçet disease. And what's an autoimmune disease is an immune disorder like hay fever or allergies that cause inflammation throughout the body. The main symptoms are if I get a cold, I'll have to take a week off for high fever of nearly 38 degrees or months at the most. I'm usually prone to stomach upset. I tend to be sleepy for all the time, etc. Then in December of 2014, this inflammation also occurred in my right eye and I couldn't see my right eye. I have lost my right eyesight. What happened in February of this year was that the inflammation also occurred in my left eye too, and I lost eyesight in my left eye too. In less than a week, and then my right eye, which was previously blind, so I went blind in both eyes. I couldn't move around by myself because I was blind in both eyes, so I had to be taken to the doctor in a wheelchair. I want you to imagine for a moment that you are going to lose your eyesight in a week. How do you think losing your eyesight will affect your life in the future? You will no longer be able to do the things you used to be able to do, which you took for granted. In my case, I love playing sports, especially tennis, but I can't do that either. I won't be able to see the faces of the people who are important to me, my wife, my family, my friends, and my customers. I have to completely change the way I do the work I love to do from what I've done in the past. All change. It's a near-death experience for me. To make matters worse, I lost my right ear hearing when I was little. The problem with being deaf in one ear is that I can't tell where the sound is coming from. So, if I'm blind, it would be difficult to even walk outside by myself. Those kind of limitations happen when I become blind. When those situations started to become real, that's when I started to see what was really important to me. And that was to use my talent to live your life. Using your talent to be yourself is. Are you focused on what you are good at and what you love to do? You are not doing anything you don't have to do. Are you prioritizing things properly? Aren't you focused on work all the time? That's what I mean. When it's come to work in particular, this is my third year living around in the UK, and from an objective point of view through my life in the UK, I believe that Japan works too much. Do you really need to work that much? When I realized that I had only a week left until I was blind, I was not able to use my talent to live my life the way I was supposed to, or so I thought. As my eyes were getting more and more blind, I wondered what I had left to do. For example, checking my email and social media, which I usually took for granted for quite a long time, but I didn't do that anymore. But I didn't do those things anymore because I was running out of time. The last thing I did with my left time was to build relationships, interaction with the community members who run the community, the people who are important to me, my partner, my family, and my best friend. Once I gave up, but fortunately, midway through my hospital stay, the medication kicked in and I went from being blind both eyes to now being able to see in my left eyes. But this eye disease is prone to recurrence, and the more it comes back, the more likely I'm going to be blind. And since it came back at the end of July again, I'm restarting the medication, but I'm not sure when I'll be able to see again. What do you do when you are in a situation where you don't have much time left like that? The answer to that question is to use your talent to live your life and ask yourself if what you do today really matters to you. Imagining as much as possible what you would do in an extreme situation. This will help you understand whether you can use your talent to live the way you want to live. Second, you need to shed as much shame as possible. There is only one good thing that has happened to me since I've been blind in both eyes once. What it is that I get so much more information from visual information. What I mean by that is that we all have feeling of embarrassment. For example, when you give a presentation on something or when you make a mistake and someone say it. The reason why we are embarrassed is because we are conscious of people looking at us. When you are blind, you can't see what kind of expression people are making. And then you don't feel embarrassed anymore. There are a lot more information coming in through visual information. than I expected. When you don't feel embarrassed, you can act in the way you really feel. I didn't realize it until I had been blind, but I noticed that I had been limiting my thought and action by being ashamed. By letting go of the embarrassment, I can go into warrior mode. I had been doing a lot of damage in my life by having feeling of embarrassment. When I feel embarrassed, I try to remember the time I lost my eyesight and try to discard as much embarrassment as possible. It was a great asset for me to realize this, to get rid of the embarrassment as much as possible and to act on it. Finally, the third thing is to decide with confidence. They say people make over 5,000 decisions per day. When I was in a situation where I was losing more and more eyesight in both eyes, I had to make a choice. What it is what kind of treatment do I want to do? If I made the wrong decision, there was a possibility that I might lose my eyesight in both eyes forever. Of course, I can consult with my doctor, but the final decision is within myself. If the doctor makes a decision and it turns out to be a bad one, the doctor can't be held responsible for it. So, I have to make the final decision by myself. How do you make a choice at such an important stage? If you can decide with confidence, you won't have any regret because there's nothing more you can do. The worst thing you can do is that it's something you could have done, but you didn't. I've done some research on what people regret most before they die, and even there, the most common thing listed is the regret that they didn't do what they wanna do. This means that your life will end without you being able to make the decision what you wanted to do forever. So, how do you decide with confidence is to know how to make the decision that's most appropriate for you. In my case, the most confident way to decide is to gather a lot of data and look at the bigger picture before making a decision. This is different for everyone. Some people decide on hunch. If you don't train yourself to make decisions with confidence, on a regular basis you won't be able to make decisions with confidence in these important situations. That's why I think it's very important to improve the quality of your decision on your daily life. We already make more than 5,000 decisions a day, so there is no doubt that the quality of those decisions will have a direct impact on the quality of your life. Let me conclude by summarizing 3 things I've learned from my near-death experience. There, use your talent to live your life. Shed as much as shame as possible. Decisions with confidence. These 3 things were what I learned from experiencing the world of being blind. I'll finish with one of my favorite quotes that fit perfectly with what I talked about today. Yesterday is history, tomorrow is mystery, and today is a gift. That's why they call it present. Living in the present is a gift. It was a very bitter experience, but being able to focus on the present, which might only be for a week thanks to being sick, gave me this reminder. How much do we regret on the past, worry about the future? How much do we live fully in the present moment without thinking about the past or the future? Do we use our talent every day? Are we making decisions and practices every day that we have no regrets about? Working hard for the future is important, but do we make enough time to cook food every meal, read books, enjoy for hobby, spend with friends, and maintain your body in order to live your life? We tend to live in the past and the future, but let's live in the present, one day at a time. So, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy it.